The same Steve that went to go watch Mark Curry do his whole sitcom and then stole everything Mark Curry had.
Why would I do something like that? They don't even make no damn...
There have been ongoing reports that the well-known mustached rib cracker treats his employees like garbage. Please just give me some space.
Can you just respect my space? But it just comes from 4 years of people just taking advantage of my kindness.
Following the significant relocation of his talk show to Los Angeles, Harvey is said to have sent a startling message to his new employees, requesting items usually only given to tour guests. No one will be popping in or stopping by my dressing room. No meetings, nothing. Unless I invite you, please do not enter my dressing room. Don't open the door to my dressing room. In the memo that Chicago writer Robert Feeder was able to receive in May 2017, Harvey stated, "If you open my door, expect to be removed." The message went on to say, "My security team will prevent anyone who intends to see or speak with me from standing at my door. Now please cease all of the ambushing. TV personnel is included in this. You need to make an appointment." Harvey said the message was meant to address the lax open-door policy he had allowed throughout the run of his show in Chicago, and he was looking for more time to spare for me during the day. A few days later, when speaking with Entertainment Tonight about the leaked letter, he restated that defense. "I am seated in my makeup chair. They enter the space. I'm going to lunch. They enter. They stayed away from knocking. I'm in the corridor. People that come to the performance with friends are ambushing me and asking me to sign and complete things. Just give it a minute," I said. And looking back, I maybe ought to have approached it a little differently. Not only that, but it seems Williams has good reason to despise Harvey. The Think Like a Man author was sued in November 2015, claiming withdrawing from plans to hire a private jet in the middle of more than $400,000 worth of purported modifications. According to TMZ, the requests included new upper and lower cabin sidewalls, a unique carpet, and a redesign of the internal cabin from 16 seats to 14. Harvey resolved the dispute, but he filed a follow-up lawsuit against the Federal Aviation Title Company approximately a year later, claiming he was owed the $250,000 he had placed in escrow to rent the private jet. After the corporation did not reply to his lawsuit, he was given the money by default. And if that wasn't enough, Katt Williams recently caused a stir with his lengthy interview on Shay Shay podcast, Shannon Sharp's Club. Steve Harvey was among the elites revealed by Williams. Williams implied on the Steve Harvey show that Steve Harvey copied Mark Curry's portrayal of Mark Cooper in Hang-In with Mr. Cooper, the same Steve who went to see Mark Curry perform his whole sitcom and then pilfered everything he owned. Additionally, he claimed that Harvey would never be a successful movie star, and that's why he keeps to presenting sitcoms like Family Feud. Then you inquire, why aren't you a movie star? Williams said, "I didn't want to be a movie star. This is the identical end that detested Bernie Mac for the same reason." Hollywood receives 30,000 new screenplay submissions annually. Not one of them requested a black guy who looks like Mr. Potato Head and is a country bumpkin who can't talk well. There isn't any. Range is a must. Ed Lover, meantime, appears to support Katt Williams' allegations on Steve Harvey and his issues with Bernie Mac. On January 5, the renowned DJ released a new episode of his Come On Sun podcast, in which he supported Williams' account that the comic had recently revealed on the Club She podcast. In the show, he continues by saying that they approached him after Bernie died away, and that he was meant to be one of the kings of comedy. But because of Steve Harvey's attitude of Bernie Mac, he declined to join the Kings of Comedy tour. He respects Bernie Mac a great deal. Ed Lover went on to say, "I was a friend of Bernie Mac's until the day he passed away." Katt Williams mentioned that Steve Harvey had called to try to get Bernie's part in Ocean's 11 and other things like that. "Bernie told me directly from the source. I think Bernie Mac said Steve Harvey hated on him," he continued. For background, consider this. 20 years ago, while on a comedy tour dubbed The Original Kings of Comedy, Steve Harvey and 3 of his friends solidified their spot in the Comedy Hall of Fame, and they swept the globe by storm. Not only did the show smash records at the box office at the time, but it also served as a catalyst for the modern era of comedy shows. At that time, was that the biggest comedy tour ever? At that moment it was. The other three performers, Bernie Mac, Cedric the Entertainer, and D.L. Hughley, all had distinct approaches and employed material that focused on black-white divides and African-American life in America.
Steve was hot. We had the Steve Harvey show, so we had a national TV show. Bernie Mac was the it comedian at the time, and then DL was hot. He had a TV show.
Bernie Mac was the it comedian. However, Harvey was said to be the smoothest performer at the time, which partially explains how easy he made the switch to television. He was the most confrontational with the crowd, though selecting out people in the front row to make remarks about their appearance, hair, and future prospects. Conversely, Bernie Mac took a different tack.
The first year we did it, it was just me, Bernie, and Steve. Right. And Steve closed.
He, felt like he didn't want to do it anymore. He was on his own path, and Steve. So, nothing like that ever happened.
But it appears that Steve Harvey was envious of Bernie Mac's strategy, and that minor setback turned into a long-lasting asterisk. The internet is going crazy over this, at least according to what one of the band members appears to have just disclosed to the public. Bernie, as you may have seen, seems to have lost interest in the work. There was never anything like that. He was following his own path, and Steve. Claims have been circulating for years about possible animosity between the late Bernie Mac and Steve Harvey during the first Kings of Comedy tour. Now, members such as Cedric the Entertainer are addressing these claims. It was confirmed by Cedric, who performed on the tour alongside D.L. Hughley, Steve Harvey, and Bernie Mac, that the two comedians were not on the same page. Indeed, as you can see from my description, they were the kind of individuals who were both alpha males and just had different perspectives on things. However, in the end, they managed to overcome it. He stated on Shannon Sharpe's podcast club.
One of the reasons why you did the first part, and then the second part.
I think, of course, that was, definitely a contributing circumstance.
That. In a 2003 interview, Bernie Mac claimed in an interview with GQ magazine that Harvey was jealous of him and was attempting to get him cast in specific films. In a 2010 interview, Steve addressed Mac's charges and stated that Mac's remarks had harmed him. Nevertheless, Damon Williams is among the individuals who verified Mac's assertions. According to Bernie's statement in the GQ story, Steve had contacted the producers of Ocean's 11 after he got the part.
Bernie said in the GQ article that when he got Ocean's 11, Steve had reached out to the producers and said he thought he would be a better fit and tried to get the part and blah, blah, blah. And that was some shit that, you just don't do.
It seems the comic may have found success along those lines with Mark Curry, even though Steve wasn't quite successful in his purported attempt to steal Mac's shine.
Steve Harvey, the job after me. I picked him.
Okay, so tell me about
He never said thank you.
So what's up with you and Steve, man?
Ain't nothing with me. Well, Steve stole my material on his show, so I had a beef on that.
Couldn't afford no Halloween costume. I'm gonna send us down to the liquor store, put boxes on us.
I think we UPS, I guess. I don't know.
And here's Steve's version.
You've heard me say that every Halloween I had the same outfit on. I just had a brown box, and he just told me to tell everybody I was a UPS man.
To exacerbate the situation, Curry now claims that Steve twice took his humorous stuff. The issue I had with Steve Harvey was that he utilized my content on both of his channels.
The thing with Steve Harvey is that he used my material on both his platforms.
Yeah.
After I talked to him, I saw him at Def Jam, I went up and talked to him, I said, man, you're using my material.
The comic told the TMZ crew that although he had previously spoken with Harvey about the matter, the joke stealing continued. The comedian asserted that Harvey shared his quips on kids, say the darndest things, and the Steve program. Curry told TMZ crew, "My thing with Steve Harvey, he used my material on both his platforms. I'm losing money because of you. You've succeeded. Stop using my material. You're very wealthy." Additionally, Mark clarified, saying, "I went up to talk to him after seeing him and I said, 'Baby, you using my material, taking money out of my pocket. You're extremely wealthy and you made enough money. You don't have to take it from me,' I said. However, he later utilized it in the kids' show, his other program. That turned out to be not the only time Steve would get into trouble with another comic. When Williams confronted Steve Harvey before a Christmas show in December 2008, everything went haywire. Steve Harvey was supposed to call in at 5:45 to set the F***ing record straight, and I was on his show. And who else was involved, you ask? Fox Jamie. First, a clip of Williams criticizing Steve Harvey was played by Fox, a radio host at the time, regarding their then upcoming combined comedy event. Williams said, "I want to apologize for what's going to happen. However, I need you to know that the moment you go onto the stage, it will be your last appearance as the comedy king. Water looks for its own surface. Playboy, you can't stop it. That's just the way things are. I thus hope you're prepared. I'm hoping you have a group of authors. You will require approximately 6 to 7 of them." Then Harvey called and stated the whole thing was confusing to him. Steve Harvey is currently on the line. God, I'm so sorry. The line is open for Steve Harvey. Yes, it is correct. Caution. Just a warning. With Katt, I've always been at ease. In an interview, Harvey claimed to Fox and crew, "I didn't know who he was back in LA. You must understand that while I was in Los Angeles doing radio, I had no idea who he was. He wasn't well known, and he hadn't been in any films or other media. I just asked whoever Katt Williams is on the radio to give me a call because he was talking about me in the clubs. But Katt Williams isn't the only comedian with whom he disagreed live. His altercation with Monique revealed yet another aspect of Steve Harvey's true nature as an opportunist. In most cases, the individual who receives an invitation to appear on a show is the one who is put in the spotlight. But Monique seems to have taken the back seat to Steve Harvey during a recent episode of his show. In addition to stealing the evening with her hilarious charm, the comic dug into some business dealings between herself and the presenter to reveal how she was cut to ribbon for speaking the truth. However, Steve Harvey wasn't the only person criticized on air. She also mentioned a few more well-known figures in the field. I have to include my brother Steve on the list of people that look like me, including Oprah, Tyler, Lee Daniels, and me. You all realized that I was correct. When Monique first made an appearance on an episode of Steve a while back, the Oscar winner talked about an incident that led to her being branded as difficult and finally being shunned in Hollywood because she asked for more money in exchange for taking part in the Oscar promotional campaign for the 2009 movie Precious. I turned down some really influential people. I declined Oprah Winfrey's offer. I declined Tyler Perry's offer. I declined an offer from Lionsgate and from Lee Daniels. Regarding her position on Oscar campaigning, Monique remarked, "I said no to some very powerful people. In 2018, she made headlines once more when she suggested a boycott of Netflix due to the streaming service's refusal to pay her the same amount for a stand-up special as it did for well-known comedians like Amy Schumer and Chris Rock." Afterwards, after the Netflix scandal, Monique confronted Harvey about a remark he had made about her, saying, "And when I heard you go on the air and you said, 'My sister done burnt too many bridges, and there's nothing I can do for her now.' Do you realize how hurt I was, Steve? To be accused by one person is one thing anyway. However, it really raises the question, is Steve Harvey playing a different game behind the scenes than the one he portrays in the spotlight? When a number of comedians begin criticizing him and claiming he's thrown a wrench into their careers, compared to the person he presents in the spotlight. Well, that concludes this video, everyone. Goodbye.